All right, welcome to another episode of NFLOutdated Cover 2 series. This episode, we are doing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I am joined by NFL personality and creator D from Sports and Coffee Morning Spaces, Monday through Friday. How's it going?
It's going good. It's a great day to be a Steelers fan. It's going great. How
Well,
are you?
I'm doing well, and as you can see, I've actually got my Hawkeye stuff. I'm an Iowa fan, and
Okay. I like the colors. So we're on the same color scheme. We're good. We're matching.
you exactly. And so the funny thing is, I actually am a Bears fan. So um,
Okay. Okay.
growing up in the 90s, didn't have much to cheer for the Bears. So because of the color scheme, I actually went with the Steelers, and I had my guy Cordell Stewart and Bam
Yeah.
Morris and some good years there. So I do like the Steelers, and I have since I was a kid. So especially with the colors, right?
Yeah. Best colors in the league, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and one of the best franchises, in the National Football League. I think that's, I mean, there are a few that maybe are up there as well, but the Steelers definitely, with when you think of coaches, with the championships, they're definitely right up there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, just long standing franchise with values, right? So there's not too many things bad people say about this franchise. So
Absolutely, and so let's just kind of start from 2021. It was an interesting season, right?
yeah.
Um, what were your kind of thoughts, throughout that season, and then kind of moving into saying goodbye to Big Ben?
So going into that season, you kind of thought that it could be, but no one said anything Ben's last season. You were excited because we drafted Najee Harris. So you were excited about having a run game because that was one of the elements of our game. Even going on that 11-0 run, we didn't
Mhm.
have a run game. So as it came down to the end, it was super exposed and exploited. So having Najee coming in, we were excited. We lost our center, so we were worried about our offensive line pieces from the beginning. Ben said it was going to be tough. It's going to be a struggle. So that's what we went in there anticipating. We were excited about our defense because our defense was so superior, kept us in a lot of games, and we pretty much had, with the exception of Tua, a lot of those pieces in place and ready to rock and roll. So there wasn't there. It was just the standard. We thought we had the standard for the defense, and we knew our offense was going to be the hiccup. So that was kind of the energy for me going into next season or last season. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I just have one question from the Steelers season. Was that a penalty versus the Bears?
Which one? So I was actually traveling. I'm
Oh,
like a
you did.
super fan, so I went to everyone. I was actually on a plane. So are you talking about the Marsh one?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so
my
the
favorite
Marsh
one.
one, taunting, nah, nah, nah.
It's okay. You can say no.
Yeah,
It's
I
okay.
mean, it wasn't really a whole lot there.
Yeah.
The taunting penalties were like I think pretty crazy this year in general.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see what the NFL does with that in the off season. Going into the next season. So I think they probably have to address something about that.
Absolutely. And as a Bears fan, I wasn't super, mad about that because really, I wasn't expecting much from the Bears this season. And actually, that was when you look at that game as a Bears fan, there was a lot of hope because of,
It was
the
yeah.
what Justin Fields did. Is that kind of what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, no, yeah. So like I said, I was traveling that game. So when I was traveling right before the game started to like where was I traveling? Oh, France. So when I got there, I immediately checked the score and I was like, oh yes, we won. But I saw how much we won by. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was trying to watch the game and I kept falling asleep. Like I could not stay awake while I was
Mhm.
watching the playback. So I missed some parts of it. We were up, we were doing good, which was unlike the Steelers, and then it started to fall down, and it became a nail biter. And a lot of the Steelers games this past season were nail biters. Everything went down to the last second, sometimes even overtime. So a lot of time, too many times into overtime. So that was like our standard. It was you needed to take if you were on high blood pressure medicine, you better have taken it when you're watching the Steelers play.
Well, yeah. Speaking of that, and watching a separate game. I mean, what were your thoughts with the whole Chargers game at the end of the season and kind of what happened?
Chargers game. Oh, are you talking? Oh, you're talking about the? I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. It's like not in my control. I had actually went to the game that they played the Ravens earlier, so I was just wiped
Mm-hmm.
out. I was out in the rain all night, and I was wiped out. So I watched it in the beginning. I thought that was it the Raiders? I thought the Raiders had it, and
Mm-hmm.
then the Chargers, eventually started to come back. Um, I was watching. I was at a friend's house, and I just like, I'm going to bed, and my friend's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. The Raiders got it. It's nothing. And then something. I woke up, and then some, and I see all these messages from all the Steelers fans. They're like, "Oh my god!" I was like, the game went to overtime." My friend was like, "No, no, no, the Raiders won." I was like, "No, the game went like almost went into overtime," and they was like, "No, no, no," or they almost tied or whatever. And then they're
Yeah.
like, "No, no, no, the Raiders." I was like, and then when I went back, we were both like, I guess my friend was just like, "Oh, I'm not gonna watch it anymore. It's over." But yeah, I'm glad I didn't. I 2 heart attacks. I saved myself from the
Yeah.
Bears game and that Chargers and Raiders game.
It's funny because they kept showing a Steelers fan that was at that game, and it was crazy roller coaster, and
I'm
obviously it
glad
worked
it could have
out.
been me.
Yeah, so it did work out for the Steelers, in the end. And then Big Ben had his kind of last playoff game, and so talk a little bit about obviously what Ben Roethlisberger has meant to the team, and now even having to kind of say goodbye and move on from him.
Such an emotional game. That last home game, like just it was awful. But it's you just for me, it was like, okay, we got to rip the band-aid off. It has to happen. So like, let's just go ahead and do it because you see what's happening to the AFC as far as quarterbacks and the competition and
Hmm.
the mobility and on these guys and their ability to just throw these deep balls down the field, and we were losing that. Like we were steps, many steps behind. So it's like, okay, we have to, and I think, he knew he couldn't do those things that Patrick Mahomes is doing. And
Hmm.
no, there's no real person that can do what Lamar Jackson's doing,
Mm-mm.
from an athleticism standpoint. So, he sees what it is, and he knows, and he's been around for so long that it was time. It I thought to myself that there was no better quarterback on that team at the time. And so we had to roll with Ben. But
Hmm.
I think things happened, and I think he went out probably the best way he could have with the team, the offense that we had.
Absolutely. And so
Yeah.
you're a Steelers super fan, right?
I call myself a Steelers loyalist.
Loyalist. Okay. So how long have you been a Steelers loyalist then?
So loyalist just in the like past 2 years, but
Okay.
a straight up Steelers fan. I kind of converted in like 1995. Don't tell my dad this. I felt so bad when the Steelers lost the Super Bowl that I
Mm.
secretly became a Steelers fan because his Steelers lost.
Yeah,
Took the
I
Super Bowl to
remember
the
watching that.
Super Bowl.
Well, so the reason I asked that, so I do have a little bit of Big Ben trivia. Are you ready for that? This.
Oh goodness,
All
no.
right.
Go ahead.
So, what was the last college team that Ben Roethlisberger lost to? Obviously, in college,
College team, yeah, I don't know that. At the University of Miami, Ohio, I don't know.
it was the University of Iowa.
I was about to say, I was like, it must have.
It was.
I was literally about to say, it must have something to do with your shirt.
It does. Yeah. So I
I
remember
was like,
watching
'cause,
him.
yeah, no, I was probably in elementary school.
You were okay. Now you're saying I'm old. I get it. It's all right. I am. I'm old.
Ben has been around for 18 years now.
He has. Okay, now
So,
you're making me feel older, but that's all right. So I
sorry.
do have another question too. Is talking about quarterbacks, moving into the next cycle of quarterbacks. And as a Bears fan, what are your thoughts on Mitchell Trubisky? And are you ready to bring out the welcome mat for him? Or what are your thoughts on this signing?
Yeah. So it took me about maybe 15, 20 minutes to just be like to get over the initial shock, right? Because
Yeah.
I was out there campaigning for Deshaun Watson since
Mm,
January. That was my dream. You know, we all have our dreams, and then I was weighing down to my to the reality, and I was like, well, maybe Jameis Winston, or maybe this. But ultimately, I started to come to reality. I actually started watching Trubisky film a week ago.
Mm.
And it's so funny because I it was only him. It's only his film I started watching, and I was just like, he's not that bad. I granted the film that I was watching, it was against like the Detroit Lions, the Giants, and a little bit of Packers film. So it wasn't a whole lot there, but from what I saw, I was like, he's not bad. And what we struggled with offensively, he could definitely help. He can definitely step in and do better than what Ben was doing in the first two quarters of football games. So if anybody watched the Steelers and saw them struggle in first halves of games, if he can just improve right there and kept everything in the second half the same, like you don't have to score four touchdowns in a quarter if you score in the first half of the games. So if he can improve there, he doesn't have to be what Ben was in the third and fourth quarter of games. So um, I'm positive because the bar is not set high for him. He does not have to come in and be Ben. He has to play his particular game, and I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean he's easily when you think about it, the best quarterback on the roster because Mason Rudolph. I
Mhm.
mean, the owners you talked about kind of being behind it, but he's not the guy, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know if he's ready for that type of pressure long term. That's a lot. It's a lot, and he may think that he's ready, but I don't know if everyone's seen enough. And I think the coaches have kind of expressed that a little bit. So it'll still be a battle,
Mhm.
and we'll see. But most likely it will be him. I anticipate them to go get one more quarterback to go into camp with, and we'll see what happens.
So here is
I'm
the
surprised.
Bears. I was at here's the Bears fans' kind of worst nightmare, right?
Mhm.
And we're hearing this on Chicago sports radio. Is that you got Mitch Trubisky and Mitchell Trubisky, and a lot of it was coaching.
Mhm.
Nagy and just not working out that way. But as a Bears fan, I'm okay if he does well because I went to the 2019 training camp and just one of the best guys. He stayed after,
Mhm.
signing
Love
autographs
him.
and great guy, but the question, can he be a starting NFL quarterback? And if he does, and he does it well with the Steelers, a lot of the Bears fans, might be a little upset about that.
I would love to know what Bears fans think because I know there's like a spectrum of we can't stand them, we don't like them. But the Bears haven't had the best, franchise, like they haven't had the experience that we've had, right? So if our organization has took a step out on with Mitchell, I think they see something. They see something that we might necessarily don't, and definitely the Bears fans didn't. So I'm excited about it, but I would love to really talk with a Bears fan that's rational.
Well, so and that's why you got me. So I am
Yeah.
rational. Like I'm good
Mhm.
with him doing well because you root for players to do well in the reclamation project. But it's kind of shifted. So when they got rid of him, it was he stinks. We wasted this pick, and that may be possible, but obviously with Nagy being fired now, it's kind of shifted. Well, it's more Nagy, so it's kind of shifting. So it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. And a big thing is the coaching, right?
Yep. Big thing. It's a huge thing. People underestimate it because they think because someone has talent that they're gonna go out there and perform. You have to put them in the best situations or that talent gets wasted. And we see that a lot. We see that a lot at a lot of different positions.
And so what I'm a little bit jealous of is I'm just gonna have to say it, Mike Tomlin. So and there was I did hear a little bit of kind of rumblings. I wondered if some Steelers fans wanted him to go, and in my dream
They always
scenario,
do.
in
Those are
which
fans. That's why I'm
so,
not a fan.
well, yeah. So my dream scenario when the Bears were looking for the coach would have been Steeler. He leaves the Steelers and comes the Bears because he has been, he's a player's coach. He's smart. He's been what the Bears have not had, and so that would have been my dream scenario. So talk a little bit about Mike Tomlin and what he brings to the Steelers.
So what he brings to the organization, like what he brings to football, is just one. It's respect. Like you
Mhm.
you have a guy that's been there for so long and has respect for generation to generation to generation. There's not I haven't heard anyone talk bad about the man.
Mm.
In public and private, like I haven't heard anyone talk bad about him. You have other coaches saying, that's a guy that I respect and I look up to. So that just shows you, like, this man is like, he's not gonna always tell you what you want to hear. He's here to do a job, and everybody talks about his isms, and people think that he's not hard on players, but then you ask the players and they're like, no, he is. He may not do it in public, and that's why he probably has the respect of so many people the way that he does, because he knows how to handle business behind closed doors.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm so thankful that we have him, and I don't think he's going anywhere until he chooses to go somewhere.
mhm.
And the man hasn't had a losing season, so what more
That's
can you say?
that's just
What can you
nuts.
say?
I mean, just crazy how good that is.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, so I mean, we talked about even what Mitchell Trubisky, if he comes in, he doesn't have to be Ben Roethlisberger, because when you look at it, Mike Tomlin, what he has done with the defense and the team, he's really gotten more out of less than most of the coaches in the league, I believe, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even the season where Ben, people forget that season where Ben was out. We were 0-3, 0-3, and then somehow managed to get 8-8 with a Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges. So, the man has a way of putting pieces together, whether it's his coaching staff or just the players. He's figured it out, and he's done it. He's done it. He's done a good job.
Absolutely, and now even kind of adding Brian Flores to the mix as well. I mean, that
Mhm,
should be a good
mhm.
addition.
Yeah, he's gonna be working with the linebacker, so I'm excited because we just picked up a new linebacker. So I don't know if he's linebackers in general, if he's gonna be doing outside, if he's gonna be inside, or he's just gonna be linebackers in general. I look forward to it because I know we know he's a defensive minded coach, and that's gonna be our bread and butter this year. That defense, the way they're building it up, the pieces they're adding, that defense is gonna be superb.
So talk about some of those pieces that they're adding, and maybe some more that you would kind of hope that they would go for.
Yeah, so a number one resign that I wanted that we have not done yet, it's still a possibility, is a Killer Witherspoon. He had, I believe he had 3 interceptions. He led the team in interceptions. And he didn't play. He's very quiet though, very quiet guy. But I would like for us to still figure out a way to re-sign him. I'm not sure how big the window is with the Wallace signing from Buffalo. So we signed him, and then today Miles. Oh gosh, Miles. I've been saying
Miles
his name all
Jack,
day. Jack. I'm like
Miles Jack,
Miles
yeah, yeah.
Jack. I've been saying his name all afternoon. So Miles Jack. He's a middle linebacker, and I anticipate we may be looking at a safety, another corner, or something like that. Maybe in the draft, or Kevin Colbert knows how to get some pieces for cheap. We got a center, some offensive linemen, which we need. And then I think the next couple pieces on the board are going to be that backup running back. I don't know if we get him in free agency. I'm not sure. Really would like to re-sign Juju Smith-Schuster. He's not signed anywhere yet, so maybe we can get a good deal on that guy. And there's some few pieces hanging out there that we gotta tie down. But then there's still the draft, so everything can't be done in free agency. We will be drafting players, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, yeah, and when you look at, you talked about the receivers. Obviously, Deontay Johnson's he's the guy, right? And
Yep.
then when you look at kind of Chase Claypool, I mean, he kind of fell off a little bit, or what are you really expecting from him going into next year?
So I think there will be this is going to be a different type of offense, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there could potentially be I think you'll definitely see more of a Chase Claypool because of maybe the play calling. So Matt Canada is going to run this offense the way that he absolutely wants to. So you did see some of the like bootleg jet sweep things with Claypool in the beginning.
Mm,
So I'm anticipating maybe some more of those things. So you will see him in different looks. Um, Mitch can throw. He doesn't throw the deep ball a lot, but he can throw. People have been telling me he can't throw a deep ball. I was like, how do you measure a deep ball? Isn't it like past 20 yards? Like that's definitely like that's a
right.
deep ball. He can do it. But these are the same people that telling me Ben couldn't do it, and I
Mm,
watched him.
hmm.
So I think Claypool has the chance and opportunity. The opportunities will be there for him to be the number two guy.
Yeah, it's interesting you kind of bring up that with Mitchell. With it's supposed to be Mitchell, but yeah, it's hard not to say Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
Uh, but the biggest thing for him is a Bears fan. Kind of from what I saw, will be kind of in crunch time. He just
Mhm.
wasn't able to be that guy. And when you look at it is interesting. I guess I didn't expect him to sign with the Steelers, but when you look at a franchise. Well, I mean, he was with the Bills, and that was kind of a good, building him back up. But really, I mean, when you have a coach like Tomlin who's been there before, you
Mhm.
know, that confidence could wear off on him.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. But I mean, it can scare some people because it's like, look, he believes in me. You gotta be ready for it. But I hope that that he gets that instilled in. It may already be instilled in him from his time, in Chicago and in Buffalo, because you don't know what he's doing behind the scenes. You see him on the bench, but you don't know how he's working to improve himself. And I know even Dwayne Haskins, spending a year in Pittsburgh has definitely helped him as, developed him as probably a man, let alone a player. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to his development and seeing him being that guy in the fourth quarter that they're definitely going to need him to be.
And so, will Dwayne Haskins be back? And do you think he'll be able to kind of maybe be a starter again in the league or?
I haven't seen enough of him to play. I know we did have that one preseason game with him. I loved the way the ball looked when it left his hands in training camp. I was excited about him. I thought he was going to be the number two guy.
Mhm.
But for whatever reason he wasn't. So I think that there'll be a battle for number two this season for sure. And we'll see how those play out. If Mitch is not is gonna be labeled the guy. And I'm excited for camp because I want to see those battles. Those I live for those battles and seeing what guys do and what they look like. So, I- can he start in the league? I need to see more to make that assessment.
And do you go to all the training camps and everything?
I try to go to as much as I can. I think I only went to two training camp sessions this past season, and I feel like I didn't go to probably about 5 games this season. So I went to more games than I didn't go, and then I went to only two of the training camp sessions.
And it sounds like you talked earlier about your the Steelers were kind of your dad's team, and is
Mhm.
that kind of how you kind of learned football and got into it, or talk a little bit about kind of that?
Yeah, so I didn't really pick it up until much later. Like I would, watch it and be like, oh yeah, they scored. But learning the actual positions, learning what's happening, learning, the players and just learning the fundamentals of football happened a little bit later, but I just became so infatuated and passionate about it. And I just couldn't like it would eat me alive when I was only just a fan. Like I couldn't, don't call me until like Tuesday if we lose. Like I don't want to talk to nobody. So that kind of drove me to just learn more, and I was just so emotionally invested into it. I'm not as emotional about it, but I'm still highly invested in it.
Absolutely. And, when you think of kind of being invested and, looking at where the Steelers are in maybe some of the pieces they need, what are your expectations for 2022? And are you able to kind of, if they're maybe not at a spot where they're, going to contend for a Super Bowl, are you able to just kind of, sit back and just kind of wait and see some of the, growth in different areas and just kind of wait for that?
No, absolutely not. Super Bowl. No, I'm kidding. No, no, I'm optimistic because I have us right now. If nothing else changes, I have us winning 9 games at this very moment. We haven't drafted anybody yet. I haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
anybody yet. But just based off what the roster moves we currently have made, I have us sitting at winning 9 games. And that can go up depending on what we do, and who we acquired or let go, right? So I have us sitting at 9 right now, and I think it's a comfortable place. Our schedule is a little interesting. It's not too bad, but I think that defense right there, that defense is going to be sweet. I can't. I need to see it a little bit before I get too carried away with it. I want to see it on the field because I'm super excited about it. But I think that defense is going to be something special. That's why I'm wearing my steel curtain shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. And
The
and so
curtain. We got to get some D linemen, but I think the
mhm.
curtain might be back.
Hey, I used to have like some frame photos of Jack Ham and some of the crew
Oh, wow.
from the Steel Curtain. So that was obviously back in the day in the '90s when I liked the Steelers and people were
Mhm.
giving me gifts and whatnot. And I see behind you there is that kind of a Steelers uh, thermos there, right, or cooler?
Oh yeah, it's a cooler. Yeah, my friends over at Igloo. I did some stuff with them, and they sent me this beautiful cooler here, so I keep it here. As I do some of my shows here, it's cute, cute, cool little prop.
Absolutely. And so talk a little bit about kind of what you've done with that and your morning spaces and how you've kind of evolved and then maybe even some of the highlights of doing that.
Yeah, so I used to do the Steelers chat. That was every week after a Steelers game. So I give you a kind of synopsis of what happened, what went wrong, and then what's to come this week with this particular opponent. The Steelers chat, that was my baby. And then I decided, I was like, I love sports so much that it's just not enough for me to just cover the Steelers. So I kind of rebranded a little bit, and D Love Sports came about. And D Love Sports still is gonna have the Steelers chat in it. But then I decided I want to get into sports media. I want to host. I want to have my own show. I want to do all these things. But of course, it's really hard when you're not already in the industry and you're trying to
Hmm.
break in. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait for someone to create an opportunity for me. I'm going to create my own opportunity. So I use the Twitter Spaces platform to start my own morning show. So I do sports and coffee Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And, we have a great group of people that come in every morning and we talk the latest and greatest. And sometimes some old stuff comes up about sports and basketball and football and baseball is about to get started up again. We even had someone come in and talk to us about cricket. So, like, we try to
Awesome.
cover a vast majority of things. But now that we're becoming a family, it's like we know who's going to be mad about what coming in because we're building a community now, and it's funny to see every day the engagements that's going on.
Now, do you with other sports, do you follow the whole Pittsburgh kind of train or are you what other
Yeah,
teams?
it's not hard to because I follow so many people from Pittsburgh, so I know when the Penguins win, I know when the Penguins lose,
Hmm.
but and I'm sure I'll be heavily in tune to what the Pirates do. But uh, most of the time I don't even follow anything else in Pittsburgh. But this I know that I will this year because it's just going to be in front of my face. I'm not going to have a choice.
Absolutely. And
I'm more connected now than ever. This is my first year spending as much time as I did in Pittsburgh. Thanks to the pandemic, I used to travel a lot for my job, but the pandemic has kept me still, and I've been able to enjoy the city of Pittsburgh. I almost actually bought a place out there
nice.
because I was going so much. So yeah.
And have you been able to get kind of sponsors and stuff for your sports and coffee and everything?
So I'm working on some more. I'm working on a few more, but I've been blessed to have some people show interest. So I'm trying to get the ball rolling on that a lot more. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's awesome. Like anytime, I get to talk, football or, sports with people, it's just, it's amazing because I love doing these because I learn more from local podcasters than the national media. I mean, it's just
Yeah, for
people that are
sure,
actually
for
dug
sure.
into the teams.
Yeah, I mean, local media, they're going to give you a snippet of whatever. It's going to be the high points. It's going to be the blurbs that pretty much every station is talking about. So it's really nice to talk to the people that kind of dive in and see things that you don't get to see. And I talk to people all the time because I'm at the games, and a lot of people don't see what goes on the sidelines. I see a lot of that stuff, and a lot of that stuff, makes an impact on the game that you don't see. And
So
like I was talking about that a little bit earlier. It's a big deal to have that experience.
so yeah, talk about the Steelers game day experience.
So typically, one of my favorite places to sit is behind the Steelers bench. I love sitting there, seeing the interaction. I talk to them. I tell them how I feel. There was one point with Minnesota. I,
Mhm.
I was behind. We were in Minnesota. I went behind there. I was like, "Look, y'all, we came too far. I came too far. You came too far. Like, let's not give up. Like, let's get into this." And we started to come back, and it was crazy. And I like there was a guy, I can't, who was it? I, Not a player, but one of the I'll say coaches looked around, looked back, and he was like, you said, yeah. I was like, yeah. And then there was a guy. He was sitting in the front row, and he was just like, "Yo, come here! Like you, ever since you came down here, we've been." He was like, "Sit next to me," so I got to like sit in the front for the rest of the game.
Nice.
Yelling at these guys, and we were so close. We missed it by a little bit. We were so close to getting back in that game, though. It was awesome. I mean, we got back in it, but we just didn't. We couldn't pull it off.
I tell you, I actually took my kids to their first NFL game in the Vikings Bears game. It was actually a historic game, the last game of two sets of coaches. So, but
Mhm. Mhm.
as far as the live game experience, it was fantastic. Even
Yeah.
as a Bears fan, I can admit that.
Yeah, it's nothing like it. And I noticed that I'm less emotional about a loss if I'm there, you know?
Mm,
I'm still not happy about it, but I don't, I'm not, my day isn't blown or ruined. I mean, when a loss happens, just being in that environment and seeing what my guys, went through, and seeing their emotions, and them trying to plan, and coaches coming over encouraging them and telling them one more stop, like, whatever. I'm always telling the guys like, don't blink, and I'm always saying something. I can't go to a game and be quiet.
that's awesome. It's amazing just to be a part of that experience. And so
Yeah.
I do want to talk about, you know, a, a topic that you maybe had gotten a little bit emotional about. And so talk about Deshaun Watson and why you were on the Deshaun Watson train, and where you think he might end up.
Yeah, so this was, like I said earlier, it was my dream. I really didn't think it was ever going to happen, but I said, like, out of all the quarterbacks that are available, he was the one that could be like, I've never been through this as a Steelers fan. I've never been
Hmm.
through, we need a quarterback. We don't know who's going to be the quarterback. So in
I
my
have
mind, Deshaun
as a Bears
Watson,
fan.
he's the guy that's
Hmm.
available that could come in here and last another 10 years probably. I don't know. Just making this up.
Yeah,
But he's the guy. He's the guy. That's it. That's the answer. Problem solved. This has nothing to do with the legality or not, anything like that. So when I say it's a dream, it was my dream. Without knowing any of the things that are going on right now. And this was back in January. When Ben said he's done, that was the first guy. I'm like, oh my God, yes, that's what we need to figure that out. So as things began to happen, it was still a dream, but then just in the last week and a half, I was like, oh my God, it could happen. My dream could come true. So because I started settling with the idea of a Jameis Winston, and people have been mentioning Mitchell for me for weeks, and I was just like, not right now. Like,
no,
no, maybe, nah, I'm good.
right.
Like I'm just still dreaming up a Watson. And as time went on, like I said, like I started to look at his film, and I was just like, worst case. And then I thought he was going to the Giants, so I was like, I don't have to really worry about him. And then when it happened, it was just like, okay. But now with Deshaun, I know better. Like I know what they're asking for, and I know the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know
Hmm.
Kevin, who steals players for nothing from other teams or off the street. is not going to give up what they're asking for. I thought that, Lovey and Tomlin would get on the phone and like, what's up, man? Can we get him? Can we get him for the low? Can we get a deal? Can we make a deal? Can we get a? Can I use my coupon? Like, you know what I mean? I thought
Right,
that we
right.
were gonna be able to get a deal, and nah, they were like, no, the price is the price. And so I knew the Steelers were not gonna give up that. Kevin is not giving up picks and all that on his way out. That's not gonna happen. Mm-mm.
Well, yeah, and so when you look at obviously he's extremely talented, and when you look at the draft now, with Mitchell Trubisky, do you would you be disappointed if they went to quarterback like maybe a Kenny Pickett or something like that, and then kind of looked at Trubisky as kind of a bridge quarterback, or are you just kind of all out on any of these quarterbacks this year?
Oh, I mean, my second dream is Malik Willis. So
Yeah.
my other dream's not dead, but I mean, of course, he's going to be extremely high up on the draft list from what I'm hearing. I don't know how much the Pittsburgh Steelers are interested in him right now because of the pickup of Mitchell, but they I was told that they're going into the camp with 4 quarterbacks, so they could definitely draft another quarterback. If it's not at 20, then in the second round, I seriously doubt Malik Willis will be there, but you know, it could be a Kenneth Pickett, it could be a Matt Corral, it could be a was it Carson Strong, it could be a um Ole Miss. What's the Ole Miss guy?
Oh yeah, that was Matt Corral.
Matt Corral, and then the Sam Howell, sorry, Sam Howell as well, and then the Cincinnati guy is it Riddler. He could possibly be there as well. We'll
So,
see.
I mean, I guess you already have Trubisky, but my rule as a Bears fan is never really go with a North Carolina quarterback. So,
So
S-
that takes two of them out,
Sam,
right?
yeah, so Sam Howell should not be there. But um, when you look at it, what do you like most about Malik Willis? I mean, obviously the strong arm, great character. What do you specifically like from what you've seen most
So
about him?
yeah, the arm, the way he's able to look at these defense and make those decisions. I love what I've seen on tape from him and the athleticism. This is I don't want to say this is the way the NFL is going, but this is a trend in the NFL, and we've seen what happens when you can't keep up. You won't be able to. You can make it to the playoffs, but you're not going to go far. Because your offense isn't as eclectic as others, right? So I think the organization realized that, and that's one of the reasons why they went with Mitchell. He does have the ability to run, and that's what they're looking for. So, and they got a good price for him. Like you can't beat what they pay for the guy. So and just on the price alone, they could afford to let him go if they felt they needed to. I don't think that's going to be the case, but stranger things have happened in the NFL, not necessarily at this organization, but stranger things have happened in the NFL. But I think they'll still pick up another person, like I said, and they'll go in and it will be a battle. I don't know that anyone from the draft is actually ready to go day one, but I know the Steelers will pick up somebody and definitely want to nurture them into somewhat of a future if they feel that that's the guy. Like if Malik Willis got drafted, I think he would still probably sit behind a Mitchell, and probably figure out the reins, understand the organization, eat, live, and breathe it, and then they would definitely try to work him in there. I could see that.
Absolutely. It was so interesting. So I did get a chance to interview a guy from the Panthers, media
Oh,
member, actually from Fox, one of the Fox stations down there in
okay.
Carolina, and who was covering, the combine. And he said
Mhm,
everyone he talked to said that, Malik Willis wasn't, ready yet. And
mhm,
and so I asked him, I said, is that just kind of smokescreen? Because I mean, when you've been around football, I mean,
mhm,
y-
mhm.
teams kind of, they don't want to show their hand.
Yeah.
Oh, we're super interested
Uh-huh.
in him, and I mean, um, are you hearing much, from like Steelers brass about just kind of like excitement about any of the quarterbacks or really anything like that? Or
So, I mean, with the Mitchell pickup, it's been a little like at first, it was, oh my God, we're going to get Malik because we have Mitchell now. We're going to get Malik. And I'm like, how do you draw that conclusion to immediately getting Malik because you just drafted a guy? I mean, because you
Mm-hmm.
just picked up a guy in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't understand where they meant what they meant by that, or they said that because we're not getting Deshaun Watson, and
Mm.
you can get another guy because you just have this guy that's only going to be there for a little bit, or because he's only signing a 2-year deal. I don't know. Yeah, the rationale for that I don't quite understand, but there's still another spot. So, according to what the GM wants to do, so it's open. It may not be a Malik Willis. Um, and I have my own little theory, like maybe they were paying Malik Willis a lot of attention because maybe they really wanted Kenny Pickett. They know everything they need to know about Kenny Pickett. He practices in their facility. He plays in their stadium. So it could be one of those situations. But who knows? We'll find out on draft day. We'll find out.
Yeah, I mean that's why it is exciting. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I don't really pay too much attention to much of the mock drafts because I
I
mean,
hate them.
yeah, because you just after the first few picks, you just don't know. I mean, you could probably look at maybe position needs, things like that, and you
Mhm.
probably know some of those things as you brought up earlier with the Steelers. But it is really tough to kind of guess what some of these coaches and GMs are going to do.
Yeah, I don't mock draft. I really don't pay much attention to them. Because I mean they're not fun or entertaining to me. I know they're fun and entertaining for other people, but I'm like, look, we'll just wait it out because like what good is it? You're wrong, and you got to tear up your piece of paper that you spent so much time on. I'd much rather fill out a bracket, an NCAA bracket, than a mock draft.
Me too. And so, actually, last thing I want to ask you then, who you have winning the tournament then?
I don't. I haven't done anything with it. I don't have anybody. I was gonna just say, let me go with Duke because Coach K's leaving.
That's what I thought too. You just never
Yeah.
know. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's not a
so I
bad
haven't
pick.
I haven't done a bracket. Shame on me.
You got time till
Yeah.
Thursday morning. So,
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I got to bring that up for sports and coffee. That's gonna be so important.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
hey, this has been definitely a fun. I appreciate you coming on. And
Yeah, no
where can
problem.
everyone
Thank you
find
for
you
having me.
again?
Yeah, so D Love Sports. I'm on everything. Twitter, D Love Sports, Instagram, D Love Sports, YouTube, D Love Sports. I am there. You can find me there. Come join me in Twitter Spaces for Sports and Coffee. You will get some laughs for sure. It's pretty entertaining sometimes.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Thank you
I
for having
appreciate
me.
and definitely going to connect on there, and I'll probably do some Bears. Give you a hard time about the Bears eventually when the Bears are better than the Steelers. So
Yeah, and I'll come and ask you how you feeling about our quarterback. As the season progresses.
yes,
Yeah,
definitely have some conversations about that. So and I do I hope they do well. He does
me
well,
too.
and just as long as they don't beat the Bears. So
We gotta beat the Bears. We have to. That's
well,
gonna be a great matchup whenever that does happen, for sure.
I agree. I
Father
agree.
time.
Well, thanks again, D. We'll definitely connect again. And once again, this has been an NFL Outdated Cover 2 series on the Steelers. And it's going to be a great 2022 season. So we're looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. Go Steelers.